Welcome to the Artist Academy podcast, a place where we focus on the business side of art to help you attract more customers, increase profits, to ultimately live a life of creativity and financial freedom. I'm your host, Andrea Earhart, and this week is the start of a brand new series of interviews that I'm going to be doing within the next couple months that all surround the subject of not murals. I've been doing a lot of muralist interviews over the summer, kicked off by May Mural Month, and I love chatting about painting large scale, but this is coming from, I am having the urge lately to paint on canvas and sell canvas prints, all the things. And so I am leaning into my interests, and I think they're well aligned with the fourth quarter coming up, even though I know it's like halfway through the year. It's just barely over halfway through the year, but I'm always thinking ahead, right? And the fourth quarter, so just to, preface this, is the time to paint on canvas and sell prints and sell your things to be sold as gifts around the holidays. And not only that, I'm just feeling the urge to just paint what I want to paint lately. I'm coming out of that, just painting what other people tell me to paint stuff, even if it is for good money. And so I'm interviewing other artists who are doing just that. They're painting what they want to paint, not in the form of murals, but in the form of canvases or something along those lines, selling prints, whatnot. And Caroline Karp is our interviewee today. And I talked to her about a lot about where she gets her inspiration to paint the things that she wants to paint, and her schedule and what that looks like, and the places she's painting. She does a lot of traveling and painting in different places and then selling collections. And it's a really interesting interview. I think you're going to like it a lot. So let's get to it. This is the kickstart of a little bit of different vibe here on the Artist Academy podcast. I hope you love it, but let me know what you think about this interview with Caroline Karp. All right, Caroline, tell me, how did you get into the arts, and tell me what all you do now, because you're kind of like me. You do a little bit of educating, podcasting, yeah? And a lot of art. And so you do a lot of things. So I think we're going to have a lot to talk about. So tell me, how did this get started?
Well, if we go back that far, that's quite many years ago. And I painted my first sunflower when I was 2. And I have this social media kind of picture where I'm holding up, like I'm in this cute red dress. I'm holding up my very first sunflower. So anyways, I've always done art. I've always painted. So that's how I got into the arts. I mean, the thing that I did as a kid was take private art instruction, oil painting. And so I started off very as a purist with oil painting, with an artist who worked for the Ducks Unlimited. So it was very wildlife oriented. So I learned the pure way to do art, mixing colors and painting what I saw. From there, I got a degree. I got a scholarship to paint. And so there, my horizons were expanded, and I took that ultra realism, turned it inside out, became an abstract artist, painted really big and large, learned how to paint with acrylics for the first time in college. And then when I graduated, I kind of found my own way. And now I have what I call a romantic expressionist painting, where I combine the ultra realism with the more abstract, and I call it expressionism. That's part of me. I'm a professional artist. I sell my artwork, but also I'm a teacher. So I have a master's degree in curriculum and instruction. And during the school year, I'm a kindergarten teacher. Oh. So I do that. Yeah, I do that. And that's a passion of mine. Working with little minds. I've been working with gifted kids for a very long time, probably 30 years. I find it very natural to work with them, and I'm always combining the arts in what I'm doing with them. And so that is where the Creative Genius Zone came from. And that's my online learning platform, where I have a library of lessons for kids, where a parent can show up with their child, and I read a book and present an art lesson. It kind of mimics what I do in the classroom, But anybody in the world can tune in, and it kind of educates parents how to work with their children. So I give a supply list, and I don't say they have to copy me. I'm just giving ideas. I also work with adults. That's a lot of fun for me because when I work with the adults, we are coming together and it's sort of a creative mastermind where I'm working on what I'm working on and they're working on what they're working on. And I'm there for support and guidance. And depending on how many women I'm working with at the same time online, it just feeds into what we're doing. And I always kind of start off with the same lesson, and it's my 5-step mixed media process. I'm walking them through a process. They're not copying me. They're in their own space. They're creating what they want to create, but I'm guiding them through the process of how to break the canvas, how to approach the canvas, and then what to see in their canvas, and then steps moving forward.
On the very last thing that you said, so the painting process. So this would be beneficial for artists who don't even really know where to start and how to gain inspiration mostly.
It can be those kind of artists, but it could also be artists that want to come online and be part of a community. So I have one student in particular that I love to work with, and she may not see it, but she is an amazing artist. I think what we do each week, because I do work with her one-on-one in more of a mentor type situation. I think what I'm doing is helping her get out of her own way and to realize what she's doing is actually incredible. And then she sees it for herself. And she'll ask me a question and I can say, well, hold your brush like this and maybe turn it that way. And then you'll be able to see the way that the stairs go up the side of the wall or the building and she travels quite a bit. Right now she's in Spain. And so we can still meet one-on-one and I just alter the schedule for her.
What's her goal?
Well, she's in her 60s. And I think her goal is to develop a painting practice, right? Just to come to the canvas, and she has a really good practice. And also, eventually, we're going to travel and paint together. So she's seen how I do that with people, and eventually we'll do that. We weren't able to do it this summer, but we have been meeting every week online. She got into her first show. So I think that was a goal of hers. And that was here in Tampa. Her goal is to realize and to paint what her heart desires. So she dreams really vividly. And so she's been putting those dreams onto canvas. And she likes to experiment and explore. And so together we've explored cold wax. I set her on a journey of, she's really good at stitching. And so I was like, you need to stitch, this is Spanish dream she's doing. You need to stitch this into your canvas. And so it was very natural for her. It's like, I come up with the idea and she's like, oh, and I'm like, well, go get what you have. Like, do you have your embroidery floss? And she does. It's like almost like we do this connection where I'll have an idea and she's able to execute the idea. So it becomes really synergistic. And I find that I can do the same thing with a kindergartner, like just to find them explore what it is that makes them tick. Because I teach reading, writing, math, and some kids just need that confidence of, I am a reader. Because in kindergarten, you are that one that's just like, you're pushing them over the precipice of confidence to know that they can fly and be on their own.
I teach a lot of online, how to promote yourself online, social media, things like that. And so maybe if you could lend some knowledge into how you're selling your art in different ways rather than social media. You do in-person events, right? How long have you been doing those?
Forever.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. One thing I do that is unique, I think, is I travel and paint.
Okay.
And so what I'm doing is I roll up a canvas, usually a lot bigger than that, and I will go around the world and either do a live painting event or meet up with other artists. And I think that is part of the marketing that I do because people are interested in following that.
Yes, people are super interested. I know that my audience is really interested in traveling and painting. So how are you getting these travel painting? Either are they commissions, jobs, or are they fun? You meeting up with other artists? How does that start?
Right. So in 2020, I started a group called the International Online Art Collective, which was a group of 14 artists from around the world. And the main reason that it was started was so that artists could connect online. And from that, I made connections where I did travel, I could meet up with those artists. I also have been, people will fly me out to do these expressive art experiences with them, which is I fly out there and we explore the area. It's kind of just what I did with my kids growing up. And then we settle in and we paint. And I did one in Egypt where I met with them and we went to the pyramids. Then we went back to Cairo where we were staying and painted what we saw. That's one way to be paid for your art and for your teaching experience. Sometimes I'm doing it for fun. Sometimes it's an organized event that I'll get invited to, like in Italy. Went to Lavagna, which is on the Ligurian Sea, and met with a group of artists. It was called Incontri. They were all from Milan, and I just kind of melted into their group, but created like amazing paintings that I could just then roll up and bring back here. So I travel around with rolled up canvas. Now, the canvases that I'm talking about that I don't end up selling yet, but are part of this travel series, will become part of a traveling exhibition. So when I was going up to DC for years and doing live event painting, I would do art all night and do gigantic canvases at events like that. So I did that for 4 years. From that, I was introduced to the Sitar Art Center, where I brought an exhibition to last year called Chain Reaction, which was part of the International Online Art Collective, because we are doing a traveling exhibition. Our first exhibition was in New York, then DC, then Miami, and now it's headed over to Oregon. And so these 14 artists, we did over since 2020, made 100 paintings together that were a reaction to each other. And so hopefully my first exhibition of my own traveling paintings will be at the Sitar Art Center. Since I have a community connection with them, I did a giant community canvas in New York and in DC. So this is where I invite the community in to paint on a large canvas.
So whenever you're getting these jobs to do live painting and for a certain thing, who is hiring you for that? And is it a paid job? And how did they find you?
The Art All Night was paid. And they found me, I think Rachel found me originally and this was right when we were coming out of the pandemic. And she is the head of Art All Night Georgetown. And the reason she found me was because since my younger son started at Georgetown University, I was going up there and painting buildings of Georgetown, not painting on the buildings, but paintings of the buildings. And so she reached out, and it was their inaugural year, and she said, "Hey, we'd love to have you come paint live." Because when I went to Georgetown, I was sometimes doing things on my own, but then I would create these little audiences of people that would watch just by walking by. So that was a paid one. Sometimes they're paid, sometimes they're not. Sometimes I'm doing them just for fun. It's kind of like doing a mural, but I know that you're probably being paid to do your mural. But after painting live in Georgetown, I sold $45,000 worth of art from the canvases that I had painted in plein air.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you went there. So you went to Georgetown. Where is that in conjunction to where you are?
It's in DC.
Oh, it's in DC.
I'm in Tampa.
Okay, great. So you went pretty far. And so you went there and you painted plein air for how long? How long did it take you?
So the story is I went there for 6 years, like 4 times a year, and I would go up. I have a whole series of paintings of Georgetown. So I have an entire collection, but I went up for an art all night. I think it was maybe my second one, and I painted the Lutheran church, and which is very iconic. And a collector just bought it right when I finished it,
Oh,
right?
wow.
But yeah, and she's the one who she bought, I don't know, 5 or 6 paintings, but it was all because I was showing up in Georgetown and I would meet. It was sort of networking, but I wasn't doing it intentionally. I had a show at a professor's house. It was called Taste of Georgetown, where I had my entire Georgetown collection, right? And so from there, I met a photographer. And so when I was painting the Dog Tag Bakery, she's like, "Can I just follow you and photograph you?" I was like, "Sure." So she photographed. I sold that one to that same collector. Then she lives in Rockville, Maryland. And so I sold art to her also. But she lives in this amazing home with a red barn. And so she wanted to photograph me there. So she photographed me painting Shea Billy, which was something that I had started while I was in Georgetown, but I brought it for photography, and I sold that painting the next day because she said, "Oh, look," I think she put it, I don't know. She just was like, she had taken all these photos of me painting it, and I sold it the next day. So it was this nice sort of domino effect of not really trying, but being seen in ways that if I sit here in my studio here, I might not be seen in the same way.
Yeah.
So almost that entire series collection of paintings that were very nostalgic to people who live in that area or to connecting to something I was painting, maybe they're connecting and those all sold. Does
Nice.
that make sense?
Yeah, so you're going out there, you're doing the thing that you like to do, you're painting the thing that you like, and you're doing it out in public, which is what we like to tell people. There's not a whole lot that promotion that can happen when you're just painting in your studio. So you're getting out there doing that, and through connection and just being out there, you ended up being connected to your buyer, which is just the ultimate win-win there. How are you pricing your paintings? As I see, they're very colorful and beautiful. They're not realistic as much. Like they don't have that like fine like realism detail that I think a lot of artists think that they need to have in order to sell paintings. But yours are very, I don't know that they're abstract, but they're very like somewhere in between that are just fun and beautiful and colorful. And so how do you price your art when it is like that? So do you price it by size, how much time you spent, or what's your method?
What I do is I price it for what the market is willing to spend. And then I'm always, not always, but I will have upgrades. So like the ones that I sold to the collector where she spent 45,000, I think that was, each painting was 57.50.
Oh, wow. Good for you. I feel like I have a hard time. Like I'll do a mural for $5,000, but for some reason my canvases, I'm like, I don't know. I need to, like, this is $500. This is $900. It's not quite 1,000. So you can afford it. Like I'm also in the middle of nowhere, Missouri. So I'm like, maybe people don't like painting around it. I don't know. Or don't have like a taste for art, but you price yours at over $5,000. I love that. And you're finding buyers for them. Yeah. Obviously. So
yeah.
Okay. Can you talk about that, the mentality that comes behind that and being able to, did you start at $500 or where did it go?
So I was in a co-op gallery in St. Pete, which is close to here. And I had a group of sunflowers that were 24 by 24. So now a sunflower that's 24 by 24, right now I think they're priced at 2,500, right? A 24 by 24 sunflower. So probably 12 years ago, those same sunflowers were $350.
Okay.
Right? But I also, in between there and not in the gallery, but I would have collectors buy, back then I was painting the chakras through flowers. So like they were like the colors of the chakras, right? But I would have people buy the entire collection. So there would be 7 flowers, 24 by 24. And so an entire collection was that 350 times 7. And then they would buy that. Very soon after that, I sold a collection of sunflowers to Justin Verlander. Justin Verlander is a pretty famous baseball player, and his wife is Kate Upton. She's a supermodel.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right. And so it was very easy for them to drop. Well, I think I was selling them for, at that point, $6.50 a piece. So it was very easy for them to, like, I'm going to the nail salon, just like to buy a bunch of them and have them overnighted to, where was it? To wherever he was playing baseball. So that was very simple. And I was like, oh, well, that was really easy. If people want something, they're going to buy it, right? And that has been my experience, that if people want it, they're going to buy it.
How did they get to see your art in order to want to buy? Like, where was the marketing in there? Were you at a gallery and they went to the gallery, or?
So the artwork was, at one point, had been in a gallery.
Okay.
Some flowers that were similar. So sunflowers that were similar, Kate Upton, so St. Pete is right by the baseball stadium. And so she was probably just walking around with her girlfriends, and she made note of it, that she saw these sunflowers that she loved. So a couple years later, their financial planner reached out to me. And you have to make sure that these things are not scams, but it was not.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But it actually was not.
I'm Kate Upton's financial planner. Can you create this series for me? I'd be like, scammer. Like, no, good for you.
But it wasn't. It was so, it was so many years ago that I don't think that the scamming thing was that prevalent. It was before they were married. This is quite a while ago. And I even checked with my boys because they were younger. I was like, so is this guy real? Like, and we researched it, and it was all legitimate. Having the experience of selling the art and then just realizing there are people out there who are going to buy it. It just happens.
It just happens. Okay. So let's talk about the just happens part, because I like that. I'm like, okay, if I create it, they will come. And
yeah.
So you had them in a gallery. That's how that happened.
That's how she saw them. Yeah. But I really think the online world, and I found out during 2020 that actually the online world is very powerful, and that while having galleries is amazing and wonderful, you don't absolutely need a gallery to sell your own artwork. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm a business person. I'm an artist, but I am through and through. I am running a business. I have an LLC. Like, I have to have an accountant, a bookkeeper, right? And I do hire people to help me with certain aspects of my business. Like, I have my own web designer, Colton, who does an amazing job with, I upload my art and I put in my stories, but she makes the connections she has something called the Buzzkeeper, because her business is called Honey Hornet. And she gives me a report on how I'm doing with SEO and what needs what. That's what I mean by the business. When I am working on the business, there is quite a bit of stuff to do to be able to sell the artwork for what I sell it for.
Okay. And I think a story behind it also helps. So every time you upload it into your website, you have a story behind each painting or each series in general. And do you usually paint in a series?
Yeah. So not only is there a story, there's usually video footage of me creating the art.
Oh, I love that. Okay.
I'm really big on capturing what I paint when I'm painting it, because people connect with it. I had somebody reach out through LinkedIn, a really nice commission. Actually, no, it wasn't a commission. He had watched me and create a canvas, and he became so connected to the layers that I was making. And it was one of my 5-step signature process, which is different than this. It's more of, there's writing under the artwork, and then there's torn tissue paper, and more of the talking and how I turn the canvas and look at what's happening intuitively. So those are my more whimsical pieces that really attract a lot of clients. and students, because they see that they can create something similar because they're not having to do the fine, realistic work that you were talking about.
Yeah.
I can do that, but I can do it when I feel like doing that.
Yeah, I think it stops a lot of people in thinking, especially when they see artists that can do really detailed ultra realism stuff. They're like, well, I'm not that good, so I can't sell my stuff and I can't even put it out. And it's like, you're saying, no, like you can just create the art that you want to create. And oftentimes I think you're right. Yeah, I get a lot more people connecting with my whimsical stuff or things that require imagination into it. And then I do something that's just like a still life, for example. But
yeah, I had a gallery I was working with that for some reason they were so connected to the work that I did when I was in my 20s. It was still life oil paintings that were very like impasto, not realism, but they're absolutely gorgeous and they're so vibrant. And I was like, how did you even see that artwork? How did you discover me? Because it wasn't on social media.
yeah.
Like, how did you know to reach out to me about that artwork that I did when I was 20? Where was that connection? Why? What about that are you so connected to? It's still me, but it was that. And so we called it my retro collection.
Okay. So whenever you nowadays create a series, do you have a certain number of paintings that you shoot for? And do you have a time limit that you're wanting? You're like, I'm going to create one a day or one a week. Or how do you structure yourself in order to create that, whatever your series wanting?
So if you look at my website, you'll see I'm really prolific. And I say that collections are like seasons. So I had a sunflower collection going. I can still paint sunflowers if I wanted to, but I'm kind of done with those, right? There wasn't a goal on how many. It was like a passion. It was something that I wanted to do. And I do like to work in threes. During the pandemic, I had so much time to paint. That's when I really learned how to teach online because I had to. That's when I learned that I could work with kids online. That's when I learned I could connect with people online because I had to. Right now, sailboats are really, and they've been since 2020 in my practice of creating. I'm looking over there. I got sailboats over there. I've got them on the wall that I'm working on, right? When I travel, I paint. So I still go up to DC. And when I go up to DC, it's about iconic buildings, right? And there are quite a few in that collection. They sell really well. People love them. When I go out to Hawaii, I'm painting coastal. When I'm here in my studio, it's more coastal.
So you don't have a number that you're shooting for?
I don't have a number.
How often are you painting? Like, are you painting every other day? It's like sitting down to your easel and painting.
Well, it's not like I sit down on my easel. It's kind of crazy. I'm either standing at my wall. The one that I'm working on right now is a gigantic one that if I could put it here, I would, but I can't because this one is oil and it's taking quite a while to dry. And I think it's because it's so humid here, but it would be right here. So instead, I'm painting in another part of my house where I can roll it out onto the ground. And it's a peony, a giant vase of peonies. And I started that collection last year. So I paint what I'm inspired by. When I was in Croatia last year, I was inspired by the water and working with this other artist who I was traveling with. I could roll it up. That becomes part of my travel collection.
How many hours do you spend painting per day?
Depends on
average for a week. What's the daily average painting hours?
maybe 2.
2 hours of painting a day. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and if I don't, I'm okay with that. I used to. Now I go in seasons.
Okay.
If we were talking about the pandemic when I didn't have to go anywhere or do anything, it was all day. But it was what drives me. It was what I was really passionate about. Right now, I'm kind of I want to ride my bike. I want to go to the beach. I want to play pickleball.
Me too. Like, the weather's so nice.
Right. It just depends, unless I'm doing a commission. But even then, I paint quickly. I'm a prolific painter and I paint really quickly. And
Okay.
so sometimes I have to slow myself down.
Really? So what's quickly? Like how many hours does it take you to finish one painting?
It depends on how big it is.
Okay.
It depends on, this one took quite a while, but it was because it was so many different things as I was painting, because I was painting it intuitively and I didn't really know where I was geographically in the world until something spoke to me and I was like, oh, those are the mountains in Honolulu,
Hmm.
right? But at first it was, oh, I'm in Florida and that's sawgrass, right? And I'm on my kayak and this is where I am. But then when the mountains started showing, okay, so your question, I can paint something in, if it was a sunflower, I could paint it in under 2 hours
Oh, nice. Okay.
and then sell it for 2,500.
Okay, I need to get in that groove because I spend so much time on a canvas painting. I spend no time on a mural. It's so funny. I'm like, because I do murals all the time, but I spend no time on that. But on canvases, I'm like, it needs to be perfect. And
No,
I need to have
yeah.
the most perfect idea before I start. But you're just doing it. You're just like, I'm just gonna start and I'm gonna paint this and it's gonna work out. And I'm gonna spend a few hours on it and I'm gonna sell it. I need to get into that groove. So I'm glad I talked to you today.
Back when I was filling up my car with canvases, big canvases, I'd be like, okay, I just spent this, but I'm going to turn that into this. Like I had this little thing I would say, excuse me, I was like, yeah, I spent this, but I'm going to turn it into this.
Yeah.
It's a mindset.
Okay, so another question. Whenever you're rolling up your canvases and painting them, whenever you're away, whenever you're painting them physically, how do you put them on the wall? Like, is it tacked on the wall? Is it taped on the wall? Do you put it on
No,
stretchers?
no. I'm literally, okay, in October, I went to Hawaii where I had been 3 or 4 times. And I just show up. In this instance, I walked down to the shore and I found like a little protected cove. It was amazing. At the protected cove, not even made by man, but just, I don't know how, it had like this pool, right? And then beyond the pool were the big waves crashing. So you don't want to be there. But I just roll my canvas out on the ground.
Oh, okay.
Right. And I get water from the sea. There may be sand in that painting, but that's okay. That's part of the story.
Okay, and the canvas you're using, what kind of canvas are you using? And whenever you're painting on it, it stays the same size and form? Or whenever you can stretch it, do you stretch it out later on canvas boards and then sell it, or do you sell it rolled up?
It depends on where I am. Usually I will ship it in a tube to the buyer.
Okay.
And they'll get it stretched.
I like that. Okay. So you're telling them, hey, this is coming in a tube. You're going to need to get it stretched. Do they usually have questions or concerns about doing that themselves?
I can help them research. So like I just did for my own, I am having something stretched here. And so I thought, well, if I was the consumer or the customer or the collector, what does this process look like for them? So I actually called 3 different places and I found one, which is like the gallery that I could ride my bike to. And I think to stretch 2 canvases that are 24 by 35, they were going to charge, what was it? I think it's 240. It's either 240 or 140 to have those stretched with a 1.5 inch.
Okay.
So then I checked another one, which is more of like they work with artists in a way that they can make prints for you. They can stretch really large canvases, right? They're going to charge $93 per canvas. That's fine. And then I was just like the regular like Michael's art supply store. I think it was going to be $128
per one. Yeah.
If I give collectors, it's usually a frame shop. You want to find a really good frame shop.
Okay.
And then you ask them, do they stretch? And typically they do. And so that's how I would guide a collector. Okay. But I have found that it saves so much money in shipping.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing that's keeping me, because I love to paint big. But shipping is just, I mean, it's like no customer wants to pay for shipping. And if I just eat it in, it just eats up cost. And I could put it into the cost of the painting, but it's still like, and even like getting it in the box so big. And then there's always the room for error of like, is it going to be damaged? So whenever you're shipping a painting, do you roll it up the canvas in itself? You put it in plastic wrap and put it in a tube? Or what specifically does that look like?
I usually have the person who is shipping it and insuring it do that.
What do they do?
It just depends on who it is, but it does usually have just the canvas rolled up and then it's protected. I like to put something with some rigidity inside the canvas, like
Bubble wrap?
just the tube that they're all around me. Like I'm looking at them everywhere, but they're the tube that comes inside the raw canvas when you buy it. Have you ever bought a tube of canvas, like a roll of canvas?
I don't think so. I mostly buy just stretched canvas already.
So when you buy it, like when you have it shipped to your own home or your own studio, it comes inside. It's harder than a paper towel tube, but it provides structure so that the inside doesn't like crush on itself. Then it goes inside. Doesn't have to have bubble wrap, but it could. And then it goes inside like a square box, but they do sell, even U-Haul sells the boxes for that. Or I work with shipping lady right in town.
Okay.
She's an artist also. So I sort of had this nice relationship. Now, when I shipped stuff over to Italy, it was rolled in a tube and I just rolled it. It was very simple.
How much does it cost? So if you're going to ship something to Missouri versus Italy, what's about the cost for like a regular sized tube to ship?
I cannot explain the fairy tale nature of what happened when I shipped to and from Italy, because all I did was, it was to go to a gallery and the guy was like, just call Mr. Michel and Mr. Michel will take care of it. And it will only be $75. I can't explain why. It was just his connection that he had with this shipping company. And his name was Mr. Michel, and I shipped with him twice. And it really was only $75. And he came to where I was, and he picked it up, delivered it, and then delivered it back. Like when it was time for it to come back, he delivered it back.
Nice. Okay.
So from Hawaii, the paintings were stretched. So they were stretched from Hawaii to Malibu. Okay. Was not that much money, but the collector did pay for it. So maybe that's why I didn't think it was a lot of money. So he was shipping I had the paintings on Hawaii, in Kauai. He was having them shipped from Kauai to Malibu, right? But when he opened it, he was like, is there something you could fix on this for me? He was just like, I don't know. I was on the beach painting and I think like a drop of watery paint got on there, and it was a painting kind of like this, so it would not seem that out of place, but he wanted to know if I could not have that drop of, because it was like this green color in the middle of the beach. I was like, sure, I'll fix that, just ship it to me in Florida. So this painting went, Kauai, Malibu, Florida, Malibu. It was not exorbitant. And he did pay for it all. Maybe to go from here to Malibu, it was $125, something like that. But if you're charging enough for your artwork, the cost of the shipping is not going to break you.
Are you doing the cost of the shipping, or is the customer paying for that? Or is that just included in the cost of what the art is?
All of those. It really depends on who I'm working with, how I got in contact with them. Sometimes I will offer free shipping. A lot of times it's built into the cost. So when you are charging prices starting at $57.50, you don't have a hard time building that into the cost. It really depends on who I'm working with, because I've done it all different ways. Sometimes the collector pays for it. I think most often the collector's paying for the shipping.
Okay, good to know. Okay,
Yeah.
So what I'm getting away from this is just, I need to go out and I need to get in my studio or go out into the world and paint something that inspires me in a place where that inspires me. That's so funny you say that you do an art series of travel, because I'd always had that in the back of my head of like, because I'm also a traveler. I've been to 45 countries or so. And I'm like, I'm just going to go somewhere and post up on a beach or post up somewhere and whatever, and just paint and have this series of like, this is the Rome series. This is the whatever series.
Yeah.
So I'm so inspired that you're doing something like that. And so I work my way towards it.
I mean, if you're doing murals, if you're out there, it's the same thing, because I love an audience. I love an audience watching me paint. Like, I'm assuming that when you're doing a mural, people are watching you, or no?
Sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, sometimes it's better for marketing. Yeah. If you're in front of a lot of people, but sometimes not.
Exactly. So Art All Night, it happens in September in DC, in Georgetown. That has thousands of people, because it's an event happening all throughout DC where people come out, and it's an event. And I'm not a muralist, but I'm painting as big as a gigantic mural. It's on canvas and I can roll it up, right? But think of all the eyes, all the people I can connect with, because I do get into conversations with people, because that's what it's all about. And it's about me.
That's a really good idea, even just to hit up some of the local events. Like we just had a hot air balloon festival here for a day, and it's a small town, but there's a lot of people there. We went and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. But even just contacting the organizers for that and say, hey there, I can offer my live painting services. I'll come and live paint. Even you could ask for money for it, or just say, hey, I'll do this first year and I'll just trade to where I'll have some paintings there that I could sell if I need, that would be the way that it would make it beneficial for me. And it would be really cool for a lot of people, your visitors, to see a live painting of the hot air balloons. Oh, I'm going to do that next year. That is so good. Because here in the Midwest, there's not a whole lot of people aren't thinking of stuff like that. And if they are, it's just in very certain specific situations. Like I'll do live painting at charity events and things, but in general at events, people here are not doing that very much. There's not a live painter there, but it would be great marketing to do that. So I'm just saying, thinking for myself, but also for anybody listening, where it helps me to paint when I go out somewhere and I'm in public, because I can do a mural. But if I'm in my studio, sometimes I'm like, I'll do laundry or I'll do this and that. But it's like getting out and painting at an event is just a win-win-win. So maybe thinking for the listener, is there an event near you coming up where you could offer your live painting services for free even? And, they're not taking their painting from it. You get to keep your paintings and sell them, but it offers something to their visitors.
Right. And my next adventure is Denver. Because I spent my 20s in Denver. Oh. So I'm going back to see some friends, and that's where I fell in love with sunflowers, because they would grow wild in my alley. I need to be in the mountains a little bit, and I'm going to paint there. And one of my students lives out there, so I'm kind of doing that to meet up with her. And so they're expressive arts experiences. So that's also part of what I do. One thing I want to do next year is July 2026, go out back to Italy to the Alpa Festival, which is what I did. I think it was 2 years ago, and live painted there in 2 places. But I want to go back, and there's an artist that I connect with out there and do it as a more formal connecting with, there's musicians that go. And so painting along with the music. So those are also events that I like to do where I'm collaborating with different kinds of artists.
Where are you staying when you're going to do all of this? Do you get a hotel room? Are you in an Airbnb? Are you with other artists? Are you hosted by families? What are you doing?
So in Egypt, I was hosted by a family. So I stayed with them.
How did you get a connection with them?
I was their kindergarten teacher.
Oh, I love that.
It's funny how we connect. When I was in Croatia, I stayed on a sailboat, and that was my artist friend. They have a sailboat, so I just cruised along with them. Montenegro, the same thing. Italy, I stayed Airbnb, but my friend Barbara, she also stayed, and we actually stayed together in the Airbnb, even though she's from Milan. Denver, I'm staying with somebody. So it just depends on where I am. When I go up to DC and how I was able to paint so much and so often and actually keep a studio up there, which has a lot of artwork, was my kids. They live up there. And so they have mom's art. So I have a whole studio. I probably have 50 paintings up there,
Nice. Okay.
right? That I can sell from that are part of my online gallery. It doesn't matter where they are in the world. I have stuff that's still in Hawaii also that I can leave out there. If I can't, if they're on stretchers, we all know we can take them off and roll them up and send them.
Yeah.
So I stay, just depends on where I am. If I have somebody to stay with, I do. If not, I get an Airbnb. I love, oh my gosh, last July 23rd, I was in Dubrovnik and I found the most amazing Airbnb that I walked up this staircase and I could just lay my canvas out, and right behind me was like this castle,
Oh, wow.
literally, of old Dubrovnik. And I have a passion of self-portrait photography where I bring my tripod and I'm actually photographing me doing what I love to do in all these different places around the world.
Love it.
So when your child is off and grown up,
I was thinking that. I'm like, well, this will be a nice, like in 20 years kind of a thing. But for now, I'm going to practice and just practice on just painting what I want to paint because I'm doing really well with murals, right? And it's great. But it's like I've lost this, how do I paint what I want to paint kind of a thing a little bit. Or like if I'm not getting paid to paint a mural, then it's like I just put everything else above it and don't do it. So I'm just, for right now, I'll do that. But after the kid is grown, I will definitely be in your shoes. I love the traveling and just being in a different place, exploring new cultures and painting. There's really nothing better. And I find that if I travel and I'm not painting, I can feel a little like, what am I doing? I feel a little incomplete. Like, so what you're doing sounds fantastic.
And from very young, I used to do, the street painting?
Yeah.
Where you paint on the street?
Like chalk painting?
Yeah. I did that for about 10 years, and my boys did that circuit with me. And so they would always come and kind of grew up doing that with me.
Yeah.
And then also when we would travel, we would go to North Carolina every year and I would bring all my supplies and they became my Sherpas. I am not joking. From very young, I taught them how to carry my canvas and my paints. And as they got older, of course, they're, able-bodied people. And they would help me set up in all these different places. And they got to do whatever they wanted to do. And I got to just sit and paint by a stream and I photographed all that. So I have documentation of that. And I would share that with my online audience and, newsletters. And I think that is I know that's what draws people in is that. And now it's me. And so they're grown. They're going to have their families, right? So it's me navigating the world and doing what I love. And I go and teach because, in the classroom, because it fills my wellspring of like passion because kids, you're living it right now. Yeah. Kids can provide so much inspiration because they're just open to it all. Yeah. And so I get to be in touch with that. And it keeps me young. Like in a way, it keeps me young because they're just so open. They're so open
and fun loving and optimistic. Yeah. Just like everything is cool. And I'm like, you're so cool. And I just stare at him all day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we've been on this for a while. So I want you to get back to your day. But thank you so much for chatting with me about this subject and lending your knowledge in this, especially travel painting. subject, and I'll continue to follow along with your traveling and painting things. Is there any last bit of advice for artists who want to do what you're doing, but they don't really know where to start? Do you have any little last bits of words of wisdom?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you really want to learn how I do what I do and the travel, and I think that's how Susan wanted to become connected with me, because right now she's traveling through, she lives in Spain. She's traveling through Italy, and like she's checking in with me. Well, I want to do that too. I want to roll up my canvas. And so when we meet, I talk to her about doing things like that. And so that's through my Creative Genius Zone, more of a mentorship. If you want to learn how to be fancy free and, create art that is not realistic, and, you want to be able to not break your canvas, but like not be intimidated by a blank canvas, maybe the 5-step intuitive process is good for you. And that's through the Creative Genius Zone also. Or maybe you want to learn how to mix up a color wheel, learn how to be more vibrant with your colors, and go from just the primary colors to the secondary colors and the tertiary colors. And how can you make a sunset from that? So I am somebody who can walk you through those kind of things.
Where
I've
can
been
you?
teaching forever.
Well, I'll have the links all here, and yeah. So anybody wants to learn from you, you can go to the links here. Can you tell us what the link is?
Yeah, so I can give you that. I think if you want to dip your toe in, the very first one I would do is that $47 mini workshop. And that is, I have my website memorized, but not the that specific code.
Okay.
But it's creativegenius-zone.com.
Okay. Creative-zone.com.
Yeah. And then my artist website, well, you'll find all that also, because I've got it on both places. That's another thing I've learned about, is to, if you have two websites, to kind of interlink them so that they can talk to each other and people can bounce back and forth. And that does well for SEO also. But that one is carolinekarpartist.com. And if you're going to find me on social media, it's all Caroline Karp Artist, Caroline Karp Artist. Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Simple, sweet, to the point. Okay. Thank you so much, Caroline.
Yeah, thanks.